Welcome back, folks. So it's been a while since we last talked about Gothic Remake, and there have been some discussions in relation to mostly differences and similarities between the classic game and the remake itself. You see, Gothic community is a bit... Wait, I can explain. Back in those days when the game released, it garnered a huge following in the underground RPG community because it was a great title. From the RPG and immersion standpoint, it offered a different raw experience, mixing fantasy and magic into a brutal world engulfed in the constant war between humans and orcs, but then putting you in the shoes of a nobody. Literally nobody. His name is Nameless Hero. Yes, I won't elaborate on the hero part due to spoilers. But just having the idea of having this awesome lore-rich world with quests that just don't hold your hand but rather give instructions through dialogue and notes. You even have to buy your own map in case you want to see where you are. It's truly a zero to hero experience like no other as you carve your place in this world. It inspired many future European RPGs like The Witcher because, well, you can imagine majority of those developers from Poland play the game as it's still very much popular in this part of Europe, especially in Germany and, well, Poland itself. Also, most of us were burned by Arcania, we were burned by Joe Wood, which was rushing Gothic 3, but that's a whole different story. When it comes to Arcania Gothic 4, because that was called for a very long time until Piranha Bytes got their IP back, I will talk about it in some other video because that's a whole new arc and basically that's one of the events which scarred the community for a very long time. For me, Gothic is my favorite game. I started this channel with it and it's still surreal to even say that we're actually getting a Gothic remake. So now we have this constant back and forth between developers and the community. Then within that community you have different factions of people wanting different stuff, from full one-to-one remake to small changes to big changes. It's a whole thing. From the developer standpoint, they elaborated in their making of video that satisfying everyone is impossible.
So first of all, I think that the fan base of the original is a multi-layered demographic and structure. I think there's not one voice that you can listen to and say, like, if you do it like that, everybody will like it. And that's the core problem. There's so many different opinions. There's even like, when we did the Gothic playable teasers, there were even like old fans who were like, great, finally doing something different with it. I disagree with this. I feel like with the playable teaser, the aim was to really push the boundaries and go over it to get strong reactions, and we got that, so that worked out.
To which, yeah, I agree, but you know, they're keeping it closer to the original while improving or adding parts which were missing, which can always work better, but you know, still being the Alchemia's version of how they see that remake. And first of all, playing the teaser back then and now this latest Naira's prologue, you can see that at least in most cases devs are listening to the community, in hearing what they have to say and trying to bridge that difference of opinion. I think that's the right approach. Again, when I say this, we still haven't played the game, so I cannot tell you if it's going to succeed or not. That is yet to be seen, as when basically everybody plays and everybody gives their opinion about it. But at least so far, from what we see locations wise, going from the starting area, heading down the mountain pass into the old camp, feels like the same layout but expanded, so it offers better value and just starting experience for people who have never played the game, but done in a way where it doesn't impede with the flow of the story like before, which, you know, makes sense as engine back then and what Piranha Bytes could even fit into this game was limited compared to what we have now. Which also includes visual assets like how shadow beasts look, how the color grading works, how plants look, and so on. I mean, sure, we can all debate with developers that, you know, some monsters are a little bit more fantasy-like than devs probably intended originally, but if that's one of the things we are debating, then they are doing something right. I mean, if those few things are the biggest issue itself, which can be also fixed with mods in case you want full pure experience. My bigger problem and worry is going to be like combat, for example, because, well, it influences the entire game. Yes, combat is not the main selling point of Gothic, you know, in the classics it served its purpose, you get used to it and it becomes fun. Here they played around from like which side you can attack from, how fast, fast, how strong, while also maintaining the learning curve that Nameless will have to go through just like Nairis. So as it was in the original, as you learn to, do one-handed weapons, two-handed weapons, whatever, you stop holding your sword with two hands, you get new combos and chain attacks, which actually and visually you can see that your character learned how to fight. It's a good idea, but because they included weight into it, which is not bad, but it has to be implemented well so it's fair and that game mechanics don't trip out and cause you to fail because of, I don't want to fight and then fail not because of the skill level but rather bad locomotion within animation or maybe something being stuck. Think that's a bit of a problem. Responsiveness was not the best in the demo, and even though it's manageable, fighting stronger opponents later like orcs can be very much problematic, so hopefully they can work on that. Because ranged combat to me, at least from the trailers we haven't experienced it, seems fine, aim and shoot. With magic they are doing much more than I expected, and I sort of like how it looks, much grander than it was before, so it feels like a proper scroll or a spell. So right now, these are the issues I worry about. Of course, some of the things which were I think reverted, like for example those ore lamps back in the swamp camp, like they had the torches instead of ore lamps, that was a big issue within the community for a very long time, to which I can also understand because those ore torches were really giving a specific atmosphere within the swamp camp or the sect camp, however you want to call it, and I think having them would be kind of beneficial, especially now with Unreal Engine 5. You can see like every single one of those ore lamps casts a nice reflection, bluish haze, whatever, especially for them. But again, those are things of course which can change, which can improve for as long as the base game and what the foundation is stays pretty much as is. So that's how I think about it personally. Now we also have Kai Rosenkrantz, who did a soundtrack for, game back then, and he is back doing soundtrack for this one, and I'm sure he's going to advise them about those little details. Now, developers also seem passionate, at least from those interviews, like the game director and producers and every other, dev which is working on it has been playing the game or they grew up with the game, so they have this personal attachment to it. So I look at it in a way where I really want them to succeed for a few reasons. First off, we get another Gothic game and we will always have the original, but new people find out about it and hopefully that pushes them to play the classic. More eyes on the franchise is always good. And if this is a success, then Gothic 2 Remake can happen, which I would very much want. That's why I sort of also support them, because I really want them to do this right. I mean, this is the last shot when it comes to the Gothic IP and franchise. Piranha Bytes is shut down. Gothic is now owned by Embracer Group. If this fails, this is going into a box and it's never going to be opened ever again. Plus the mods, being that it's UE5, things can be added, fixed, enhanced. Gothic community has a modding scene, so having another game to play with and upgrade, which is new, is pretty good. There is only so much though I can tell you right now until the game is out and we all play it. But look, we all want what's best for the game, regardless of how people approach the situation, what their opinions are. It's passion that I can understand. I am glad again that we are not debating bigger things. Imagine if they wanted full changes and they didn't even pay attention to the community. Imagine if we had the Gothic game from like that playable teaser. Imagine they did it that way for some odd reason. Imagine if that happened. It wouldn't be good. So look, I'm excited about the remake. I am. We'll see what's it going to be. Hopefully it's going to be again good, but we have to chill out and wait, because to be honest, we're not so far from the release. If it's going to be early 2026, then maybe March, maybe something like that, very much possible, unless they do another delay, which we don't know about right now. So this is everything I have for you today. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider liking and subscribing for more. Also let me know down below in the comments if you agree or disagree, and join our community on Twitter and Discord. Huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters, and I will see you very soon with a new one. Bye bye.